let's go ahead and dive into some of the things, the happenings this week. And let's just start off the top with we had some single digit numbers given away. So Mr. Dane Key, along with Riley Van Poppel, and this is something that I just tweeted a little bit ago, but I kind of thought about this when I saw you gotten it. But thinking back, I was like, Matt Rule's really never given a single preseason single digit number to anything under a junior. It's always been seniors and juniors. And Shaver's got one midway through last year because Jamari Butler switched his number to 10. However, Riley Van Poppel is the first person or the first sophomore underclassman in general to get a single digit number since Rule's been here. So that says a lot about what Matt Rule thinks about RVP.
Well, I remember when they redshirted him last year. Sorry, my dog is like butting into me right now. Go. When they redshirted him last year, I was like, that's such a big risk because you could see really early his true freshman season, kind of his talent. You think back to those Iowa games where he kind of just not took over, but was very damn good for a true freshman, and then played a little bit last year. So I'm not surprised by any means about RVP getting that single digit. I think he's probably the person on the defensive line right now that I am like the most high on in terms of his potential and what he can be. So Coach Rule has been pumping him up all year, off season. Same with John Butler. I'm curious when we can finally hear Terry Braden speak. I want to hear more from Coach Braden on what he thinks of not only just RVP but his whole group, because we haven't heard much from him.
Yeah, and I think part of what we're what's a good thing about us seeing that is it was about a 70-30 split, seniors to juniors, both 23 and 24, I think, when I looked at it. But I think this goes to show, I think this is kind of showing where we want to be in terms of that development. Now we have not only upperclassmen leaders exemplifying what it means to be, in the single digits, but now we have upperclassmen stepping their way into that ranks, which kind of shows that this is kind of the emergence of year 3, those guys that, so maybe we'll see some more underclassmen in this year's single digit group and so on and so forth. But it's like the culture is implemented to the point where now these younger guys are coming in and learning kind of the standard and hard work from day one. It's not like they're coming in and taking a couple of years kind of light to learn it just because they're going to be redshirted or whatever. As soon as you get on campus, you're trying to earn your spot. So
there was a quote Coach Rule had the other day where he was talking about, even last year, there were still some people that, why are we doing this? I think he said they'd bring up like their friends at other schools and they're like, oh, they don't do this. And he said, this year, there's no question. We're doing it because this is what we do at Nebraska. This is our style. This is our culture, etc. And I thought that was a revealing quote in the sense that even going into year 2, where you could probably see the culture shifting a little bit, you could see the progress they were making. There were still some people that were questioning things, which more than likely is your upperclassmen that are, quite frankly, have been around for the worst stretch of Nebraska football in a long time. So it's not, worried or anything that was happening. But I thought it was an interesting quote, a little illuminating kind of into the back behind the scenes stuff that goes on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's I think we're getting a lot of good information over these last couple weeks too about where everything stands. What was the and you had talking about the Archie Wilson situation. I don't know if people have saw the Archie Wilson press conference, was kind of, I feel like it's a good opportunity to kind of see the realness in him, kind of see he's a family oriented guy, which is kind of, a lot of what Matt Rule likes in players, guys that, are about family and stuff like that. And, but broke down after being asked about, what it's like being good distance away from his family, naturally. And somebody had an issue with it. Who'd you say it was?
That was Mitch Sherman. And I didn't understand why he was so pissed off about it.
Yeah, I'm not going to put you on the spot there, but just in terms of context, we were just kind of talking about, not to put him down, but just just talking about it. I don't understand where, because again, I just think it's better than a lot of the questions that we would normally get. that I think it's just better than a lot of the questions we would normally get. Like, what is, what time do you wash your laundry on game nights? That type of stuff. The typical hard-hitting media questions. And then the time somebody ventures outside the box to ask a little bit more personal question, there's an issue with it. I think it's part
He called
of the
him an
problem.
asshole
For asking the question.
He said, "What asshole?" Yeah, he said, "What asshole would ask him what it's like to be away from his family for the first time?"
What professional would call a colleague an asshole because he asked a question? A good question.
I think it's a valid question, and I don't understand why Mitch Sherman was flipping out, but
I think it's good. I think it's good for the fans to kind of, again, see a different side of the players. Kind of helps connect the fan base to the players a little bit more to see like kind of the raw emotion, and stuff like that. And I think it's only good.
I think it's good that he showed a little bit of vulnerability where it's tough. It's got to be tough. There's no one questioning that. But it's also, I think, important to know it puts a person behind the player in a sense, where I think we as fans can get locked in and just be like, well, that person's a player, and you forget there's a lot more behind the helmet. You know what I mean? And I saw someone like in the comments or something was like, we should start a chant for him when he comes on the punt or something. And like, that's stuff we could do as fans. I think it was like a traditional thing they do in Australia. And I thought it's something like we would never have thought of as even a concept to do unless we got to see this side of him. And
right.
I personally have no issue with the question. It was like we were talking prior to the show where like, you deployed halfway around the world at 18 years old. And it's not an unfair question to be like, how are you handling being away from your family?
No, because like sometimes like it feels good to open up about that, and again, kind of like I could talk about too, like probably feels good for him to, have people asking the question and can be concerned about that. But we found out a little bit more in detail about, his family will be out here for, I think he said the first like few games or something like that. So that's good that they'll at least be coming out here and seeing him. So that'll make it a lot easier on him, but still, tough situation all around. But overall, I think that was a good question.